Hi, it's Jim from Maverickstar Ops. What do you think the outcome will be for you, your family and your loved ones through being the receiver of bad information? Will be. How will that affect you? This is a chart created by the IPCC, as you can see on the bottom left hand corner, and this is what COP26 is all about this month. And all your world leaders and billionaires will gather to arrange a funding of £100 trillion to combat global warming. This will be based on the notion that global warming has been derived from man putting CO2 into the atmosphere since the pre-industrial period. But the IPCC clearly from this chart don't know when the industrial period began, because it was in the 1760s when the industrial period actually began, but they don't go back that far on this chart because simply it's only from the 1900s that there's a noticeable rise in temperature. I want to ask this question to any logical thinker out there. Based on the fact that this Earth is millions of years old, do you think it is logical to predict any trends on climate temperature going back 170 years or thereabouts? Or would it be much wiser to examine climate temperature over a lot longer period? Would it be wise to omit glacial and interglacial periods out of your chart? But this is exactly what the IPCC have done. This is their scientific expertise that they are demonstrating to us. And I just ask, any logic people out there, is this the right way to go about making future predictions which involve the sums of money in the trillions, hundreds of trillions? What if these billionaires had knowledge of something else about to happen and occur on our planet, something that even a child could understand? I wonder whether they'd try and make money out of it. Anyone with a brain or a little bit of common knowledge would easily see why the chart on the left is the one that the IPCC would show anyone, because from the 1900s there is a clear rise in temperature, and of course it must be because of man's industrial revolution, even though nearly 100 years ago, before the 1880s, was the actual closest time to the beginning of the industrial revolution. But if we look on the right hand side chart, well, you can see the beginning of the 1700s is when we came out the little ice age, so it had already started to warm the climate before, the time period which they have purposely selected for their argument in their case for support of man-made global climate change. They've completely omitted, going back over 1,000 years, the medieval warm period, which was warmer than what it was today. Well, of course that would go against your argument, wouldn't it, if you included the medieval warm period? But there was warm periods before this that go back hundreds of thousands of years into our climate history of this Earth, which they have also omitted. Again, it is done for a reason, because they want to convince you of an argument which they are cherry picking the data from. Why would they do that? Well, of course, if you look at 400,000 years of Earth's history regarding climate and CO2, you see the truth. That we see interglacial periods and glacial periods, times when the world has been warmer and times when it's been much colder. In fact, you can see that the world spends most of its time in an interglacial period. You can also see from this chart that there is nothing driving climate with regards to CO2. The evidence is before you. Why they wouldn't want to show you a chart like this is because it would disprove their claims. They're just hoping that the majority of the people in the world watch mainstream media and news such as Sky News, owned by Rupert Murdoch, one of their friends, the BBC, largely funded by the British government, pushing their propaganda and stamping on pretty much anyone who has an alternative view because it goes against them and their grand plan. Of course they know next. They know what is coming next, and don't delude yourselves with regards to that, because it is clear as daylight. We are merging into another glacial period, and most of the northern territory on the northern hemisphere of this planet is going to go offline because nature has naturally selected that to happen. And the sooner more people realise that, the better for them. This is the second video I've put up today, trying to show people what is going on in this world, and we can keep making these predictions time after time and being right after, each time. It's not that we've got a crystal ball, it's not that we're prophets. What we are using is the scientific method and the correct data to base our future predictions on, and we're right every time. Canada has just experienced some infrastructure damage caused through major floods, and that is not as a result of CO2 in the atmosphere. It's a result of a natural occurrence, coinciding most likely with a magnetic reversal. Exactly how far are they prepared to go to cover it all up? Well, you can see that these three men are the main stakeholders and owners of Google, and Google says it will no longer permit websites or YouTube creators to earn advertising money via Google for content that contradicts well-established scientific consensus around the existence and cause of climate change. These three men are not just owners of Google. What these three men are clear violators of human rights. Make no doubts about that, because Article 10 of your human rights states that you can have any opinion and share that opinion with anyone you wish. Yet what these three people will do that own Google, and the people that work for them, will violate your human rights. And you need to pay attention to what I'm saying here, because this is the very behaviour that brought about the Second World War and all those atrocities that are associated with it. If these three men tried to pull this stunt off 5 years after the last Second World War ended, the whole world would be coming down on these people, and the only reason they're getting away with it right now is because there aren't many survivors left to tell everybody about what their behaviour really is about and what they should do about it. These three men are the richest men in the world, and they own Google, and they are dictating to everybody that we cannot have an alternative view with regards to what is happening to our world. And there is obviously an agenda for them to do that. It's not just whether you contradict their well-established scientific consensus, it's if you even have an opinion on the cause of what they are saying is driving climate right now. And you've seen the evidence in this video, and I guarantee you not one of these people on your screen right now are scientists, yet they are dictating to the rest of the world what can and can't be said, and at the same time they are violating human rights. This should be nipped in the bud ASAP right now, and I charge every one of you listening to this to do something about it and not sit on your asses. Do something about it, because a lot of people are going to have tears in their eyes very, very soon. We're talking 2 billion people over the 40-degree latitude of this earth are going to have tears in their eyes because of what these people are doing. It needs to be shut down immediately. These 3 people, and they're not the only 3, are human rights violators. These 3 people will bring back tragedy for many, many people if they are not sorted out. There is no place in the world with human beings for people like this in front of you right now. They are dictators, they are human rights violators, and there is obviously an agenda to steal millions and trillions of your hard-earned money. And you know what? If they are saying that it's caused through CO2, then they're also at some point putting your lives in danger as a result of that, because they are leading you off down a path which is completely 180 degrees from the truth. This world is not going any warmer, it is getting colder. And they will go to all extremes to cover up anything else, what anyone says, what anyone else's opinion is on this subject. You only have to ask the logical question, why? What is their incentive to do such acts? I'll leave you with the thoughts. Give me your comments. As always, bye for now.